Howie, welcome live to Success Sundays. I'm going to double check that we did go live, but for all intents and purposes, let's say we're live. Today, we've got a great topic for everyone. I'm one of your hosts, Oscar Chavez.
And I'm Jacob Galea.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about why your whys are so critical and why your whys are so important. I might hand to you, Jacob. You've got some thoughts on this. I mean, do we need a why? Do we need to search for that? Do we need to do vision? Do we need to do all that stuff? Why is a why important?
Yeah, look, I think there's some, in the media, in the boardrooms, Oscar, in people's lives, there's this mystical thing that everyone talks about whys. There's books written on it. What's your why? And it's a really big topic. I think for me with my clients and also doing executive coaching on a business and a life coaching level, I've come up with my own theory around whys. And my thing is that your why constantly changes because you constantly change, right? So my thing is never have a why that is something that is so long-term and stuck in concrete, because the thing is that as we evolve, our whys should evolve, because what my why was 5 years ago is very different to what my why is now. And what my why is now is going to be different to what my why is in 5 years' time. So for me, defining a why is good, but in a short-term process based on who you are, because we are constantly changing and evolving as human beings. Of course, what I like now, I didn't like back then. Of course, how I dress now, I didn't dress back then. We change. Your palate changes. The foods you like, the cars you like, the watches you like, things change. So my thing is all these people that go, right, you must have this one why and put a flag on the moon, and that flag has got to be your why, and you got to tell the world what that why is. I'm like, well, hang on, that's your why today. And that why today serves you today. But for me, I look at myself, how much has people's whys changed in 2020, right? What a year. So just in 2020, people's whys have probably evolved and changed 10 times, because now their why is about survival. Now they're wise about, all these different things that wasn't in place before. Does that relate to you, Oscar?
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's a really good point in that the fact that our why is malleable over time and ever changing. And one of the things that I've noticed, sometimes people's why is not their real why. Like, you almost have to ask yourself why you think that's your why, because you actually might be completely misguided about the situation, right? So let's say you did want to put a flag on the moon. Well, then it's like, well, why do you want to put a flag in the moon? And then that might lead to some really deep introspection. It might lead to some serious amounts of hurt or pain that the person's carrying around. So when several years ago, when I started one of my companies, the why was based on it was a shadow of something that was really going deeper on inside. It was a shadow of, I felt powerless growing up, so I wanted to put more power into the world. I'm kind of speaking cryptically, but because it's a deep thing, right? Sometimes your why isn't actually your why. And sometimes the visions that you have are not really going to serve you in the most beneficial way, unless you truly have a really good relationship with yourself. And in another context, right? So if you do, there's I think you've actually talked about it as well. The 5 whys.
5 whys, yeah.
Right? So for instance, if you have a technical problem in your company, so if you look at ClickFunnels right now, global outage, and the reason that came out was because Cloudflare was down. If you ask why Cloudflare was down, usually it comes down to some sort of assumption that some human being made. So there's a problem, but if we ask why, we get to the root cause, which is somebody believed that they thought they were resilient. Somebody believed that they thought they were redundant. They didn't look at the fine detail to find out what the uptime SLA was. So even in business, asking yourself why several times can really unlock the reality behind the situation. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And I think that's why one of the models I use in my coaching program is the 5 whys, is get underneath the iceberg and see, why do you really want that why? And what is that why all about? And as I said, for me, don't get so attached to your why. Don't make it this, hey, this is my why, and that's what I do. We all know we do things for our children, and we all know these basic whys, but we're talking about here supernatural, soul satisfying whys, why you're put on this planet. These things you might not know until you're in your 60s, 65s. You might not start to evolve to that level of ascension until you get to that age. So, trying to say that you're going to find your why in your 30s, unless you're Deepak Chopra or someone of a spiritual, blessed, a life, it's going to be very, very hard to do that. Some people naturally know their why. Some people wake up in the morning and, they're born to be a builder or born to be a painter or born to be a speaker. They know that, okay? But again, they didn't know that when they were probably born. They probably went through a process, and it takes time to find that process. I think for me, with this beautiful topic tonight is, don't be defined by a why. Be defined by a purpose on why you're doing what you're doing, and see what unfolds for you as a why. It's sort of like when we were at school, Oscar, we had these books, Choose Your Own Adventure. You read a bit here, you read a bit there, and then you could change the adventure anytime and decide, am I going to go through the beach or through the mountains next, right? And I think your why should be like that, and your why should uncover the true, authentic self of who you are, because you change and we evolve so much that why would you want to pinpoint yourself to a certain why? Change it as you change. And I mean, I think it's fine to change your why every 2-3 years, because that's
Yes.
probably the time frame that it takes to evolve. So, I mean, I look at myself, physically, mentally, spiritually, I'm very different to who I was 2 years ago. So my why has absolutely changed to what it was 2 years ago. So for me, look, I think, yes, you have to have a why. I mean, absolutely, whys are important, but go 5 whys under your why and find out why that's your why. And don't be afraid to evolve your why, and as you evolve and change it, because for me, that's the mystery of life.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree with this notion of the, that thing that you said about being purpose driven. There's that thing about having a purpose driven life that leads to a life of more content, more happiness, more joy, more fulfillment. Because there is a way that you can live that detracts from those things, from those experiences, from those beautiful experiences that life has to offer. But there's also a way to live that actually maximizes those feelings, those emotions. One of those things is just really experiencing gratitude, right? Taking a moment to truly live and express that gratitude. I think that's so critical to high performance people, because it's like, I went for a walk today. I took the dog to the dog park, and I've got, there's lots of projects going on, right? And my brain's just constantly ticking, because the things that I'm thinking about affect 2-3 years down the path, right? There's a level that people have to get to, that every decision that they make is so important that it has a ripple effect throughout their whole lives. So sometimes, as you get to a certain level, the mental processing power that takes can add a lot of stress. But if you find your why and you go, you know what, I want to live like this for a long time. Some people have this illusion of retiring, kicking up their feet at a certain age, that one day I'm just going to check out, all my problems will magically disappear, all the stress will magically disappear. But that's not something that happens, right? We have to take accountability, responsibility for these things. So if we take that moment of gratitude and we realize that our why is to be amazing in that's part of my why, right? To be as good as I can be every single day, to progress a little bit further every single day, whether it's a small step or a giant leap, it doesn't matter. As long as I've moved forward in that day, that really goes and contributes to my why. Whereas if your why is putting a flag on the moon, and you don't experience that pure joy until you put that flag on the moon, then you've wasted the opportunity to really enjoy life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. I mean, I love that. I mean, and that's what I talk about, passion and purpose, because every day, every day is a gift. That's why they call it the present, because every day is a present, right? And what I think a lot of people think, when I get to this point, this destination, then I'll be happy. It's like, hell no, be happy today. If you got a chance to wake up this morning and be amazing, and touch wood, you're healthy, and you can be around amazing people, and you've got a brain, and you can earn some money, you can do things, it's a good day. And I think there's a lot to be said. Maybe in next week's session, we could talk about what's called the journey, and really enjoying the journey. I mean, this morning I was sitting in the sun, had a cup of coffee, read the financial review, took some time out by the pool. Like these little moments of joy and triggers of joy is what makes people feel alive. We're in a crazy world at the moment too. This COVID-19 thing spreading. No, borders are being locked down. It's hard to to talk about a why when you don't know we live in such an unpredictable future. So just enjoy the moment, because for a lot of people, their why is about to change. A lot of people getting sick, and a lot of people are about to change the dynamics of how they live. So for me, enjoy every second, moment by moment. Oscar, I wanted to raise this point. I had a meeting on Friday, and I went to this particular cafe, and I ordered a cup of tea, and it was, I go to thousands of cafes a month and for meetings, and I sat in this particular cafe. When they brought me out tea, they brought me out an hourglass with pink sand dripping. And, obviously I said to the lady, "What's all this about?" And she goes, "Look, you flip it over when your tea's ready." But doing my work, I didn't see it like that. For me, it was a symbol to sit there. I was waiting for my client to get to this CEO, and I had 20 minutes to sit there, and I kept flicking this thing over thinking, this has got nothing to do about the tea. This is a message for me to appreciate time and really think about how I value time, and that time is ticking and it's all we have. So for me, I think it's good to talk about your why, but again, let's talk about the journey and the journey of life, because for me, the sand in the hourglass is ticking, Oscar.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we don't take a moment to appreciate that, it does lead to self-deception. It really does. And we love to deceive ourselves as human beings, right? We love to paint this picture of who we are, even though we might not live in such a way. So taking that time to really slow down and appreciate that moment is so critical. So for me, there's a saying, Friedrich Nietzsche popularized it, but it was, if you know your why, you can overcome any how, right? And that's really a good compass to help you push through some of those times, that you do feel tired or weak, or you don't feel like it, but you've got to do it anyway. But I feel that's good. I think that's good. But also taking that moment, like you said, to just sit down and be grateful for it in the times where you decide to take that moment off. You don't have to be off all the time, but when you switch off, take the moment to enjoy life. And that's one of my most powerful whys. It's like, I'm here for a candle in the wind. Like it was John, who was it?
Cat Stevens.
Yes. We're here, right? It's a flicker of time in the grand scheme of the billion-year universe, or whatever it is, right? But it is a flicker of time. And so we have an opportunity to enjoy the trees, the sun, the wind, the oxygen. We've got to remember these things, Jacob, because if not, we can't live high performance lives, because we get up on Monday, we're stressed about the stuff that we have to do, what's in front of our plate, and we live our lives on just chasing the ball, chasing the ball, chasing the ball. We have to take those times to appreciate life. And for me, I think that is really powerful, rather than setting up a why sometimes. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And, I've worked with a lot of CEOs, as you know, Oscar, and for me, I help them establish one simple why, and that is to create moments and memories in life. That's it. That everywhere they go, create moments and memories. So, did you have a moment today, and did you create a memory today? And if you did, imagine if your why was every day was to create memories and moments. And I've got a lot of CEOs. I had one of big friends to, and one of them out of Melbourne today sent me a message, and he was washing his Ferrari. He said, "Mate, I've created this memory, and I've created this moment in my life thanks to a session that we had." And for me, I love the spirituality between moments and memories. And if you create a memory today and you do something that's going to sit in your memory bank, then in 20 years, when you're sitting down having a cigar and a scotch and you think about that moment in time, then for me, there's nothing bigger and better and impactful than living a life of memories and moments.
Oh, mate. And that's why you are the number one, because we have to distill our life down to simplicity and remember the basics, right? We're always trying to run so far ahead, but it's important to take those moments and memories. Without that, we're nothing, really.
Absolutely.
Without that, we're nothing, because we can pursue a life of success or riches or money or whatever it is, but unless we live our lives in such a way that we're creating those moments and memories, then I think that we've lived a bad life and that we've kind of wasted it. So
absolutely, brother.
With that, I love it, man. This turned out to be such a good session. With that,
they always are.
Any final words from you?
Oh, look, memories and moments, guys. If I've got that, tattooed on my pad every day when I open up the page. I'll show you when I see you tomorrow, Oscar. It says memories and moments. Create them today. For me, create memories and moments, and memories and moments will navigate you, believe it or not, to your why. because the more memories and moments of joyfulness that you have, of connectedness that you have, that's going to move you to where, where you're meant to be, because moments of bliss move you to joy.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Join us.
Hang on. What about your final words, Oscar? Come on. I can't get it that easy.
My final words. I love your final words, the moments and memories. I would say, enjoy the sun while you have it, enjoy the wind while you have it, and the oxygen while you have it, and try to smile as much as possible.
Can I want to say a final word, right?
Yeah.
There's a beautiful quote that says, "The future is a mystery, the past is a history, today is the present. That's why they call it the gift."
Yes, absolutely.
Just enjoy the gift.
I love that. And with that, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this gift, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.